Eagles. Well, I watched all of week 6, and normally, and I think even now, I say that by week 6, you probably know what your team is about. You don't worry about your first couple of weeks. You're trying to figure out who you're going to be, what you're going to do, your path to victory, how you're going to make it. And by week 6, which isn't technically halfway because there's 17 games, so week 8 would be, well, there's 18 weeks, but everybody gets a bye. So 8, 9, technicalities, splitting hairs. Week 8, 9 is half. But by week 6, you should kind of have an idea. Plus, you get your trade deadline, right? Where if there are any holes, you better try and plug them. And the Eagles got some holes. We got banged up people. We got skill positions that need some help. We got all kinds of stuff going on. And I'm not all doom and gloom. And you know what kind of irritates me is Eagles fans who forgot. Don't get me wrong. We demand greatness, all right? We demand the best from our team. I get that. But what really aggravates me is that we forget that Jalen and company just won us one of the greatest Super Bowl victories. Just demolished the league last year. And now, with a couple of drop games, like the first 4 games we won. And yeah, it didn't look how we wanted, but we won. Now, with a couple of drop games, people are like, put in Tanner McKee, and Jalen Hurts needs to put the fries in the bag. And, you know, meanwhile, for umpteen weeks straight, we're talking about how our QB is elite and how nobody can really touch him. And we're basing it on how he has the ability to do whatever and focus on wins. And because he lost 2 games, all of a sudden he's out. You want him gone, or want him benched, or you think he's not good anymore. Now, this isn't all the Eagles Nation. This is some. Jalen in interviews has said, he realizes some stuff is above his pay grade. And basically, what's that saying is it's not his job to call the plays, to run the offense, unless the chains are let off of him, or whatever he said that one year, unless they let him cut loose. Otherwise, he's going to follow the game plan, because you know what's safe about following the game plan? And this is true in pretty much every job, right? You can warn your job that the path that they're going down isn't recommended, and you see areas that you may fall short in. And then if they don't take your recommendation, your boss and your boss's boss are the ones that have the final say. And they're the ones who call it. Like Nick and Kevin Patula and all of them, and Jeff, Lurie, and all those people above them. Those are the guys who have the final say. So he's like, all right, fine. Whatever you tell me to come out here and do, I'm going to do. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, okay. I said, hey, I think that we should do X, Y, and Z, and you didn't listen. So I think that's a lesson that anybody can take, and anybody can understand, that it's fine to speak up, especially when you see danger coming, but you don't override who's ahead of you, who's in charge. Not unless you one of them backstabbing people who, has the kind of corporate structure where that thing is applauded and sought after, backstabbing and going behind people and doing all that kind of stupid stuff. But Jalen doesn't strike me as that kind of person, and I don't like that kind of corporation either. That's neither here nor there. I mentioned that all QBs miss throws, right? And then again, we have Acho breaking down the Eagles. Now, I used to play for the Eagles, okay? But I don't see him. Now, this could be because I don't have social media, and because Eagles stuff is recommended to me that I see this on YouTube. But I do not see him breaking down when Mahomes or Allen or Lamar or Burrow or any other QB overthrow a throw, right? Because in the previous couple of games, Mahomes was overthrowing that new person. I don't know. I don't follow the Chiefs, but they had a new hot target that he was going after while Worthy and Rashid was gone. And in one instance, he would overthrow him. But then what he would do? He would go back to him and he would hit him. And then everybody's praising him. But they're not talking about that overthrow, or they're not talking about the dirt ball or the ball behind Kels. Or if they are, they're like, okay, it's all right. They're the Chiefs. They'll be all right. But with Jalen, it's not that they'll be all right like they've said for the longest. The Eagles can beat you in any number of ways. It's panic mode, and the room is on fire, and everything is ablaze, and it's time to hit the disaster button. I really don't get it. Yes, there are areas that need to be improved and worked on, and you understand that on defense that Zach Bond and Coop can't play the whole field, and Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo got to do their jobs because the megastars can't play the whole field. Reed, Blankenship, and Coop and Bond can't play the whole field. They can't do it all. So when you're missing Quinyon, and when you're missing Jalen Carter, and when you're missing Landon Dickerson and Lane, and you're missing Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith, and when you're missing all these guys that you know are the ones that drive pressure, and you know these are the guys that make plays, or that if they're in their spot, then the offense for the other team has to go some other place. Right? Or if Lane and Landon are healthy, then the O-line can make huge holes and they can protect Jalen longer, although Jalen has had some time in the pocket. But when you're missing these core key pieces of your offense and defense, you're left with what's left. And I think that we solely focus on the bad and don't even look at the good, right? So, yeah, Jalen has some off throws, or there was some off time and everything. But what about the dot to Devontae that was called back because one of our guys was going downfield because he thought it was a run. It was an RPO. So he was trying to open up a hole for Saquon. And then, illegal man downfield. Or what about when Jalen's moving the ball and A.J. Dillon gets the ball punched out, right? Stuff that's beyond his control. He always mentions this. He'll try to control the things he can, and the things he can't, he won't worry about. He'll try to improve. I never hear any talks about any of the good that goes on with those pieces that are missing and with the action that they're trying to do, right? We can pick apart any team, including the very best teams of any era, and find times where they missed a play or, they lost to a team that they probably shouldn't lose to, trap games, this, that, or the other. You can find that anywhere, even in this season. You got the Bills that just dropped to the Falcons 24-14. And we know the Falcons aren't superstar teams like we think the Bills are. They lost. We saw them Cowgirls lose to the Panthers while they were making fun of us. Now, they didn't get the stuffing beat out of us like we did, but they lost. We saw the Commanders lose to the Bears on a last-minute field goal and a fumble that Jaden had. Mistakes happen. Am I saying Jaden Daniels isn't great because he fumbled the ball and they lost that game? No, he's still a really good rookie. I don't think the Commanders are better than the Eagles. I don't think the Bears are better than the Eagles. I don't think the Giants or the Cowboys are better than the Eagles. I don't. That's just my opinion. But when you look around, let's look at the standings real quick after week 6. You have a ton of teams. I think I counted this, like 17 of the 32 teams that are within one game of one another. So in the AFC, you got the Patriots and the Bills, 4-2. You got the Steelers 4-1 because some teams have had byes already. You got the Colts 5-1. You got the Jaguars 4-2. You got the Chargers 4-2. You got the Broncos 4-2. You got the Chiefs 3-3, and that's the AFC, right? So plenty of tight contention in the AFC. Then we go to the NFC. Well, you got the Eagles 4-2, the Commanders 3-3, the Packers 3-1 because they're 3-1. I'm sorry, they had a tie with the Cowgirls, so we'll kind of put them out for right now. You got the Lions 4-2, the Vikings 3-2, the Bears 3-2, the Bucks 5-1, the Falcons 3-2. The Panthers are 3-3. The 49ers are 4-2. The Seahawks are 4-2. The Rams are 4-2. So the NFC is even tighter with teams that have decent records. It's going to come down to the wire where everybody's fighting for, looks like it's fighting for a playoff berth, where you're going to have to hope that some other team loses in order for you to make it. That might be where we get to this year if things keep shaking out the way they are, right? Except for the Bucks and the Colts, I think those are were the only two 5-1s, right? Yeah, the Colts and the Bucks are the only 5-1 teams. Everybody else is in that 4-2, 3-3, 3-2 type area, right? So it's tight. There's plenty of time to be had left in the season for anything to happen. Anything. The Eagles could turn it up, or the Eagles could turn it down. This could be an off season for us. You never know. But I'm not ready to throw my whole team away. If they don't make it back to the Super Bowl this year, I'm not ready to throw my team away. I'll say, hey, Jeffrey, Lori, you and Howie, you guys are masterminds at seeing where the holes are and plugging them. In the next draft, we may need to go out and plug some of these holes. And I'm still of the mindset that Kevin Patullo is a cancer on the team that's dragging the team down. I wholeheartedly believe that. Until I see otherwise, that's my stance on that. And that Jalen is still an amazing quarterback that's capable of great and amazing things, but we're picking them apart. Right, we're picking apart the tush push, the brotherly shove, where it's clear now with cameras. Listen, with the controversy on the tush push, and it'll probably be gone next year. They got 18 cameras on they got a camera for every player on the Eagles when they lined up for the play, so they can see if somebody's moving, and they're gonna do it in super grainy slow motion to make it look worse than it is on some of those false starts, right? Because your eyes don't have the ability to capture slow motion like a camera, right? So in some of these replays, when they do a slow motion, you see the clear false start. But then when they do it in real time, the movement is so close to the center snap that it's easy for an official not to get that. But I agree that if they do see it and if they do call it and it's fair, and they need to get penalized for that. Because I want us to run it clean and be dominant with it. I don't want it to be the stigma of, for the past 5 years, this is why they've been so dominant on it. It's because people are building that narrative. People are saying, they've been false starting the whole time. But no. In that last game where they did it 4 times in a row, they false started once and did it clean the other 3 times. They played it for you. You saw it plain as day. That they only false started once. So I don't want to hear that mess that they've always been doing it. The Eagles have to get back to basics if they want to start separating themselves from the pack. They need to start looking at what the defense gives them and picking them apart, okay? Jalen, in my opinion, needs some more pocket awareness. I don't even know that, because I've seen him have such great ones, but I think that he's waiting for a play to develop sometimes, right? Because he can see there's a different look that a quarterback has on the field than we do, looking at wide angles. But I think that he's waiting for something to happen where he can make that play versus throwing it away or versus getting 2 or 3 yards and calling it a day. I think I'd like that, 2 or 3 yards of throwing it away versus getting these sacks, because in the last couple of games he's taken quite a few sacks that he normally doesn't take. But I'm not crying about it. I'm not crying about it. I'm not up in arms like a lot of teams are over their fans and pulling. A lot of fans are over their teams pulling their hair out. I see the problems. I want them fixed. I hope that we can get them fixed. Plain and simple. As far as the rest of the teams go, I don't know. I really don't, because everybody's so even, and because if you look at the strength of the teams that people have won and lost against, that it's easy to kind of... What is that in your mouth? Open your mouth. Oh, what's that, medicine? Oh, okay, go home and cut you some medicine. It's hard to really tell where everybody stacks up, because people have dropped to lesser teams and people have beaten good teams. We've beaten the Chiefs, the Rams, the Cowboys, because I want to, and the Bucks, which are, by all intents and purposes, the other top teams. They have a Falcon song? Yeah, every team has a song, but there's not better than Fly Eagles Fly, right? That's right. Fly Eagles Fly is the best. So, there's really no way to tell until, like I said, later in the season when people start separating themselves and stacking up more wins. Or we get to the scenario that I mentioned before, where the field is so evenly spread that we're going to have to go down to strength of wins and percentages and who loses and division stuff. Division stuff is really going to play a key. This might be one of those seasons where it all comes down to that. You never know. You never know. I still have hope for the Eagles. I have hope until there is no hope, right? I had hope in the epic collapse season when we went to the playoffs and lost miserably to the Bucks. I said, okay, we've dropped all these games to lesser opponents because we have beaten stronger opponents. We dropped all those games, and that's like, all right, listen, we're in the playoffs. Something that some teams can't even manage to do, even with an epic collapse. They don't make it to the playoffs, but that's neither here nor there. I said, in this Bucks game, if we can win this, our confidence will be high, and we can make a difference going forward. It didn't happen. But my confidence was still there all the way up until that time. I thought maybe Nick had some new game plan coming in that we're going to turn it on, saying, hey, we haven't put this on film. We're going to show you something different. Here's to being optimistic. But it didn't happen. And I'll be optimistic with this team until the end of this year. And if it doesn't work out, I'll be fair and honest and say what I think went wrong and what went right. But right now, given the whole landscape of the NFL, there's honestly no need to panic. We are not the 1-5 Dolphins. We're not the 0-6 Jets. We're not the 1-5 Ravens or the 1-5 Browns. We're not the 1-5 Titans. We're not the 2-4 Raiders. Who else? The NFC is a lot harder. Even though the Giants beat us, we're not the 2-4 Giants. We're not the 1-5 Saints, and we're not the 2-4 Cardinals. There's reason to be optimistic. And our team is full of players that when they get healthy, or the ones that are healthy can make a difference. Don't panic. Keep your mind about you and play ball. You know what I mean? Just that's what you got to do. And please, fans, can we stop being arrogant? It's any given Sunday. You know, if we get a good victory, there's no harm in celebrating a good victory. If we get a loss, there's no reason to beat yourself up too bad over it. I see folks like losing their minds over this stuff, and it's like not even worth it. I think that we can pull this out. Now, I really do, based on how much time is left. I think that I had said before the season started that I thought that we were going to go 12 and 5, so we lost 2. That'd be 3 more losses. And then who are we playing? Who do we have left to play? We got the Vikings, which could be one of the other losses. The Giants, listen, and that next thing to the Giants, we have to put belt to rear end in that one. We can't let them muscle us and bully us like they did in that one. So I'm going to count that as a win. So a third loss could be to the Vikings. A fourth loss could be to either Green Bay or the Lions. And the fifth loss could be either to Washington or the Bills once. You know, you never know. Or we get our act together and we win these games. You never know. You never know. But I had predicted that roughly 12 and 5, but strong into the playoffs and making a good run in the playoffs, hopefully to the Super Bowl. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna remix my Super Bowl prediction yet. Actually, I think no matter what the season is, unless we're out of the playoffs, I'm going to keep my Super Bowl prediction. Eagles-Bills Super Bowl. Eagles win 38-30 over the Bills. No, I said Eagles win. Yeah. She gets so upset. When the Eagles have lost these last 2 games, even in school, she's telling her teacher, I'm sad the Eagles lost. We got us a true fan over there, honey. You are a true fan. I love that. But, that's just my thought after 6 weeks. It's point out the good and the bad that we see on the field, right? The players that need to step up, the players that need to step aside, the coaches, everything. And then do what we need to do to get back right. We have the ability to. Absolutely. I don't want to get into this finger pointing. I know AJ and Smitty were kind of frustrated on the sidelines with how the Giants game went, but you can't win them all. You really can't, and we're spoiled. This era of the Eagles, since Jalen Hurts has been around, and Nick Sirianni, one of the most winning coaches and one of the most winning teams, you guys are spoiled rotten. You don't remember when we were bad, it seems. You don't remember losing. You don't remember not being competitive. And I'm not saying I like that. I hate that. I despise that. But understand that you can't always be on top. I know the Chiefs make it look like you can, but that's one team out of 32. And even them, they're 3-3. We don't know how their season's going to end. Who do the Chiefs have? I just want to go over that real quick. Who do the Chiefs have left? While everybody crying, I can't even find them. I can't find them because they were so far down. I'm not used to seeing them down there. Okay, they got the Raiders. That's an opponent that sometimes gives them a good run. Got the Commanders with Jaden Daniels. Got Josh Allen, who can beat them in regular season. Got the Broncos, who really give them a run. Got the Colts, who are 5-1. They won this Cowboys game. They got the Texans, which sometimes give them a run. They got the Chargers, who beat them earlier. Titans, I think they won that. Got the Broncos again. Got the Raiders again. So we have no clue, even with Rashid coming back, how they are going to manage. They're in a similar boat with the Eagles, where the strength of schedule is rough, and these teams are putting on shows. Huh? Oh, it's all right. You can play, honey. So, can we let this thing play out before sounding the alarms and pulling out the fire extinguishers and everything? Come on, guys. And don't do our players and our team like this. calling them trash and this, that, and the other. We know who's underperforming. We know. But the team as a whole, and especially our quarterback, is nowhere near trash. Nowhere near. What can I say? Fly, Eagles, fly. Go Birds.